For decades, you've been carrying things silently. You became the person everyone comes to when life gets heavy. The listener, the strong one, the one who always says, "I'm fine," even when you're not. You've shown up for everyone. You've held space for everyone. You've carried weight that most people around you never even noticed. But when it's your turn, when you are the one hurting, when you are the one who needs someone, something inside you closes. You don't ask. You don't explain. You don't let anyone see the full weight of what you're carrying. And after all these years, after everything you've lived through, everything you've held together, everyone you've shown up for, you're still wondering why being alone feels safer than being truly understood. This isn't just who you are. This is a pattern, one that was built inside you long before you had the words to understand it. And today, we're going to understand where it came from. And before we talk about the 5 reasons, I want you to understand something. The fact that you handle everything alone does not mean you don't need anyone. It means somewhere along the way, your mind learned something very powerful. Depending on people is risky, and once that belief settles deep enough, you stop asking. You stop explaining. You stop reaching out. Not because you don't care, because a part of you is still trying to keep you safe. And the way it keeps you safe is by creating patterns. Patterns that developed through specific emotional experiences, usually early in life. You didn't choose to become someone who carries everything alone. You adapted to it. This isn't privacy. This is protection. And protection always has a reason. And I think a lot of you already know what I'm describing, because you've been living it quietly for years. You process pain alone. You cry privately. You handle difficulty without telling anyone. You share only the lighter version of what's happening, the edited highlight of your struggle rather than the truth of it. You are the person everyone considers strong, the person nobody worries about, the person who, underneath the composure, is carrying more than anyone around them has ever been allowed to see. We're going through 5 specific psychological reasons why you don't share your problems, where each one comes from, what each one is actually protecting you from, and small, realistic steps towards something different without losing the strength that silence built. Stay with me. But before the 5 reasons, we need to go back to where this pattern actually starts, because it almost never begins in adulthood. This pattern almost always starts in childhood, in environments where the child's emotional expression was met with one of 4 specific responses. The first is absence. Nobody noticed. The child cried and the adults didn't come. The child expressed sadness and the room stayed exactly the same. The second is dismissal. They were told it wasn't a big deal, that they were being dramatic, that there were bigger things to worry about. The third is overwhelm. The adults around them already had too much, and the child sensed, without being told, that adding their feelings to that weight would make everything worse. The fourth is inconsistency. Sometimes emotions were welcomed, sometimes they weren't, and the child could never predict which response was coming. In all 4 environments, the child reached the same conclusion. Sharing what I feel creates problems. And once that conclusion was drawn, the child stopped sharing. Not because they stopped feeling, because feeling in silence became safer than feeling out loud. And that conclusion made by a child who had no other choice is still running in the background today. Here's how. Reason 1. Your emotions were never mirrored. The first reason is the deepest one. Emotional mirroring is one of the most important developmental experiences a child can have. It's the experience of expressing an emotion and having it reflected back by a caregiver who sees it, names it, and responds to it as something real. When that mirroring is consistently absent, the child doesn't simply learn to distrust other people. They learn to distrust their own emotions. They lose confidence in what they feel. They begin questioning whether their pain is valid, whether their needs are reasonable, whether their experience deserves to be spoken at all. That self-doubt follows them into adulthood. Now, when they consider sharing something, the voice that arrives isn't, will they understand? It's, is this even worth sharing? That voice is not weakness. It is the echo of every time their emotional reality wasn't met with the response a child needs to learn that their inner world is real. The problem was never your willingness to share. It was the absence of someone who taught you early enough and consistently enough that what you feel matters enough to be heard. You stopped sharing because you stopped trusting that your feelings were worth speaking out loud. That trust can be rebuilt, but first, it has to be named. Reason 2, you learned that your pain was inconvenient. Somewhere in your history, usually early, your pain was treated as a problem, not as something to be held, understood, or responded to with care, but as something that created difficulty for the people around you. Maybe through sighs, through impatience, through responses that communicated without using words that your needs were creating stress, that your emotions were something to manage rather than something to feel. And so you learned to preemptively manage them yourself, to shrink the space your pain took up, to present only the version of yourself that didn't require anything from anyone, to deliver the lighter, easier, more manageable version of your experience, because that was the version people responded to without sighing. This is why you share only the highlight reel, why you edit your struggles before presenting them, why the full truth of what you carry stays inside, not because you don't want to share it, but because somewhere deep in your conditioning, you believe your full truth is too much. That belief isn't true, but it has been operating quietly for decades, shaping every conversation, filtering every interaction, deciding before you've even consciously chosen which parts of you are allowed to be visible and which parts must stay hidden. You weren't taught that your pain mattered. You were taught that it inconvenienced. And the difference between those two lessons shaped everything about how you communicate today. Reason 3, you're terrified of becoming a burden. This is the one that creates the most consistent silence. Underneath the composure, the self-sufficiency, the years of carrying things alone, there is a fear. Not always visible, not always conscious, but present. The fear that if you share what you're actually carrying, the full weight, the real truth, the unedited version, you will become a burden, that the person listening will be overwhelmed, that your problems will be too much, that sharing them will change how people see you, from the strong one to the heavy one, from the person who handles things to the person who needs things. And that shift feels dangerous in a way that's hard to explain to people who haven't experienced it. This fear didn't appear randomly. It often traces back to childhoods where the adults around them were already overwhelmed, where the household carried too much, where the child made the quiet, unspoken decision, I will not add to this weight. So they became light, easy, manageable. They became the child who never made things harder. And now, as an adult, that decision is still being honored. Every time you stay silent, every time you say, I'm fine, every time you choose not to mention the thing that has been quietly breaking your heart, you're still trying not to add to a weight that nobody around you is even carrying anymore. If you've recognized yourself in any of these 3 reasons, you're exactly who Unfelt was built for. Subscribe and hit the bell. There's more here that was made for the people who have carried years of silence without anyone ever accurately naming what that silence actually is. The next 2 reasons go even deeper. Stay with me. Reason 4, vulnerability feels like losing control. For many people who don't share their problems, the issue isn't trust, it isn't privacy, it isn't even fear of being misunderstood. It's control. Sharing requires vulnerability. And vulnerability for someone who has spent their life managing how they're seen, maintaining composure, holding everything carefully in place, feels like surrendering the one thing that has always kept them safe. Their ability to control the narrative, to choose what people see, to decide which version of themselves enters the room, to shape, edit, and present a self that has been carefully managed for whoever is receiving it. Sharing the full truth means allowing someone to see you in a state you haven't managed, haven't prepared, haven't carefully constructed for presentation. And for people whose entire emotional architecture was built around management, that exposure feels more dangerous than any problem they're actually carrying. This pattern often forms in childhood environments where emotional expression was met with unpredictable consequences, where the child learned that controlling visibility was the safest option available, that if nobody could see what they were really feeling, nobody could use it against them, dismiss it, or respond badly to it. So you learned to control. You became excellent at it, but control practiced for decades eventually becomes its own kind of cage, a cage that keeps the painful things out, but also keeps the connecting things from getting in. Reason 5. You became your own support system. The fifth reason, the deepest one, the one that ties everything together. Over years of not sharing, of processing alone, carrying alone, solving alone, something happened that most people never fully recognize about themselves. You became your own support system, not because you planned to, not because it was ideal, but because nobody else was consistently, reliably available, and so you built something inside yourself that could do the job without external input. You learned to comfort yourself, counsel yourself, regulate yourself, hold yourself through difficulty that other people would have called someone for. You became the listener you needed, the supporter you needed, the source of stability you needed. And over time, that self-reliance became more than a strategy. It became identity. I am the person who handles things alone. And once that identity solidified, sharing stopped being something you couldn't do. It became something that felt like betraying who you are. Because if you're the one who handles everything, what does it mean when you can't? If you're the one who never needs anything, what does it mean when you do? The silence isn't just protection anymore. It's how you know who you are. And asking yourself to share is asking yourself to dismantle the only identity that has ever consistently kept you safe. That is not a small thing. That is the deepest reason of all. Now step back and look at all 5 together, because something becomes very clear. The silence you carry looks like strength from the outside. People admire it. They call it composure, self-sufficiency, emotional maturity. They say, I wish I could be like you, without realizing what it actually costs to be like you. But psychology reveals the paradox. The same strength that protected you is now the thing isolating you. The same silence that kept you safe is now the thing preventing the connection that could actually help. You didn't become silent because you were strong. You became strong because you had no other choice. And that strength served you. It got you through everything you've been through. It built you into someone who can carry more than most people can imagine carrying. But strength practiced without support, without ever allowing someone else to hold even a small part of what you carry, eventually becomes its own kind of prison. Not because the strength is wrong, because it was never supposed to carry everything alone. So, what does understanding all of this actually change? More than you might think. This silence is not weakness, not emotional damage, not an inability to connect. It is the precise, intelligent response of a nervous system that learned through real experience, in real environments, that sharing was more costly than carrying. Every reason was intelligent. Every reason protected you. But the environment that required that protection no longer exists. The silence remains, and understanding its origin clearly, without shame, with genuine compassion for the child who built it, is the first step towards something different. You didn't choose silence. Silence chose you because it was the safest thing available. But you are no longer the child who needed it. So what does moving forward actually look like? Not transformation overnight, just 4 small steps, practiced slowly, in the right direction. First, start by being honest with yourself. Before sharing with anyone else, practice naming what you're feeling to yourself, accurately, without minimizing. I am exhausted. I am hurting. I am lonely. The internal honesty comes first. It is the foundation everything else is built on. Second, share something small with someone safe, not the heaviest thing, something light enough that the risk feels manageable. Let the experience of sharing and surviving it begin building new evidence inside your nervous system that this is possible. Third, notice the reflex to say, I'm fine. Don't fight it, just notice it. See it for what it is, an automatic response, a protection, not the truth. Just by seeing it clearly, you create the smallest possible distance between the reflex and the choice. Fourth, let someone sit with you in something difficult without fixing it. The goal isn't solutions. The goal isn't advice. The goal is the experience of not being alone in something hard. That experience, small as it sounds, is everything. You don't have to share everything. You just have to stop carrying everything alone. And before you go, I want to leave you with something. Your silence was never evidence that you didn't need support. It was evidence of how thoroughly you learned to live without it. That learning was intelligent. That learning protected you. That learning shaped the strong, composed, self-sufficient person watching this video right now. But you are no longer the child who had to carry everything alone. And the people in your life right now, the right people, the safe people, deserve to know what you're actually carrying. Not because they need to fix it, because you deserve to finally be known for who you are, for what you hold. Not just for the version of yourself that never needs anything. Before you go, which of these 5 reasons felt most personally true? Drop the number in the comments, 1 through 5. I read every single one. And if this video finally explains something you've been carrying quietly for years, subscribe to Unfelt. Hit the bell icon so you never miss a video. You're exactly who this was made for.